pasó, mi gente? It's Polly, and I'm going in for my second viewing of Godzilla -1 at video shooting at night. It's Tuesday, and it means it's only in the American theaters for 2 more days. So I had to get into another big screen theater and check it out because my feeling is that it's one of my favorite movies of the year. We're going to be doing our top 10 movies countdown with Robert Meyer Burnett, with Rosa Parra, and other guests. So there's just so much I got on this movie. Now, before I go into the theater, I want to say one more thing. Chris Gore, we were all hanging out with Nerdrotic Chris Gore, and we were like, the way Gary responded, and we're all responding to it. Chris Gore had said, "This is Gary's RRR." And I totally get it because, it's a foreign film. It's in a different language. It tells just a brilliant human story that is kind of set with semi-historical with a semi-historical background, with the ending of World War II. But, obviously it's a monster film. And with RRR, foreign film, historical background, hyper fantasy lead characters. So, I get it. And I'm super excited to see this again. And I'm going to go in because I'll be out. I'll let you know what my second thoughts are. Deep thoughts. Our female hero, Akiko, asks Toshi, our male lead, at the end of the film, is your war finally over? And really, that's what this film is ultimately about. Man versus not only monster, but man versus himself. Then the nation of Japan versus their collective loss. I mean, this movie is staggeringly amazing. I mean, that is entertainment. That is storytelling. And just seeing it again for a second time, it's... I'm speechless. So what makes great entertainment? What makes a great story? You can't just have your typical monster movie over and over. You can if it's just, your garden variety, popcorn, entertaining monster movie. Have a good night. But you want to make something special? Let's make something special. Let's get the last days of World War II. Let's get a kamikaze pilot who is a coward who lives, and he's not supposed to. He's supposed to do his duty. He's supposed to die, and he doesn't. And he's full of shame, and this is the man that becomes our hero. But to get to that place, he goes through so much turmoil. And then he's given a gift of taking care of a young lady and an orphan kid. And he builds a life a few years after he survives the initial smaller Godzilla island attack. Now, the war has ended and Japan is completely spiritually emotionally, physically defeated as a country, as a nation of people. And you see that, and it really is a post-apocalyptic world that they're in. So that's the backdrop of when he comes home, and he finds that his parents are gone. They've been killed, and a vengeful neighbor who is alive, and she's asking, why are you alive? It's men like you that didn't do your job that cost us the war. I mean, this is the type of dramatic storytelling that's in a Godzilla film. So, in surviving that island attack, he is cowardly again because a group of mechanics who are not fighters, like he is, trained with the gunnery equipment, ask him to shoot on a smaller, much smaller Godzilla at the time. He doesn't. And they all perish except for one mechanic, the head mechanic, who shames Tochi, our hero, for life. And he gives him the photos of those mechanics who've perished, their family photos, to live with. And he lives with this war. It's not over for him mentally. He's being run through his nightmares from Godzilla, and he just doesn't know what to do. Very compelling performance. Well, a couple years later, there's some rebuilding. Kochi's found a job eliminating landmines with a tugboat of sorts and a cast of characters that reminds me of the people in Jaws. You got the grizzled captain, got the wet behind the ears kid, and you have a ex-Navy specialist, kind of like that brainiac type. Their job is to dispose of mines, and he finds some dignity even though he's still pretty tortured. And like I said, he starts rebuilding his life with Akiko and the little girl, and you know, he's kind of love but not his love. And you know, they share a few good times. She is there for him when he wakes out of a nightmare. Fantastic scene. But Godzilla returns. And like all nightmares, all monsters in our nightmares, they finally return, and his nightmare manifests in reality. And what is one of the coolest monster walks that Godzilla does in Tokyo? Fantastic shots, including of when our female hero is taking the train and she sees Godzilla through the reflection of her compartment, and that siege was wild. So the nation is not what it used to be, and they cannot form the type of defense as a nation that you would think a nation could, because it's dealing with its real-time historical, you know, the Russians and the US. It's the citizens. It's the citizens of Japan, of Ginza, of Tokyo, that have to form a plan to stop and kill Godzilla, and that's just what they do. And yeah, you see men finding some value in this goal, you know, of defeating this monster, and it's so emotionally effective that when the final confrontation happens, and there's, you know, some twists and turns there. I'm not going to spoil the ending with Godzilla, but the human story is so emotionally satisfying for the men, for our characters, because like I said at the beginning of this video, it's man versus man, man versus himself, man versus monster, men versus their nation, and men versus a monster. Just absolutely one of the best action films, dramas with action, monster films I have seen in years something that is like a Jaws. So I think I spoiled it enough. The director's an absolute just brilliant storyteller. In seeing it again, I loved it before. I loved it even more now, and I just don't see a single thing that I can point to that, like, oh, well, that didn't work. Well, this didn't work. There's some plot points that I'm not telling you because I want you to see it. And I'm lucky enough to have seen Godzilla now twice in the movie theater before it leaves the big screens. That is my spoiler reviews of Godzilla -1. I strongly recommend it. You know, I don't give out 10s. But I think I'm pretty close to giving this a 10 out of 10. I think the last time was probably RRR and Everything Everywhere All at Once, and those were like 9.5s. So, yeah, that's my assessment and second review of Godzilla -1 with spoilers and a rating. A 10 out of 10 rating. And I absolutely had an incredible time watching it again. The lead actor who played Kochi, he's something to watch. He's something to watch. He goes from shameful coward to freaking Luke Skywalker going down the trenches and blasting the enemy away for himself, for the future of his adopted child, and for his nation, for his people. That's it. All right, enjoy, everybody. Let me know what you think. Have you seen it? Gonna go see it. Bye.